Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Todd Bowen from sittingposture.com. Welcome to today's video, Computer Posture Mistakes and Fixes. This is episode 7. Thanks for joining me. I value your time, and I promise I will make it as worthwhile as possible. Computer posture can tend to be a very painful and boring topic. That's why I try to create content that is always free, open-minded, relatable, and easily actionable. Quick note, the info in this presentation is not medical advice. It's based off my experience and my opinions. I talk about the good habits that have helped me live a higher quality, sedentary lifestyle. Do your own research, make good decisions, and be the best possible advocate you can be for your own healthcare. The specific goals of my channel are to help the user decrease pain caused by sitting at a computer, increase energy, improve mental clarity, and increase work productivity. A quick note about me, my name is Todd Bowen. My website is sittingposture.com. I've got a degree in information technology, so I've taken classes such as workstation ergonomics and user experience, lifelong athlete and exerciser, as well as a 20-plus year stint in a sedentary lifestyle. Here's a quick look at my website. Everything's free on here, a bunch of free resources. You can download a free computer posture checklist by just clicking on the toolbar up top. That's a sitting posture checklist there. Haven't done one for standing yet. And you can sign up for my emails down here. I send out one email a week. I don't spam. Send it out on Fridays, and that email will contain a link to the article that I wrote for that week, as well as the 2 YouTube videos I posted for that week. So go to sittingposture.com if you want to sign up for either one of those. All right, here we go. Computer Posture Mistakes and Fixes, episode 7. I'm not compensated by any product sellers or manufacturers. There's no paid promotion in this video. So if I mention a desk or a keyboard or something like that, it's simply because I like the design of it, or I paid my own money for it and it helped me out. So here's a photo that I use often. A lot of things going wrong here. You can see the leaning forward of the spine, the slouching forward. It's almost like a slouching forward, also known as kyphosis, but we won't get into too many technical medical terms. I'm going to try to keep this as simple and straightforward as possible. But you can see the inflammation going on the top of the spine here. What happens when you see the natural curves going throughout the spine, what happens when they aren't balanced and when they become compressed on either side? What happens is it causes inflammation and does a whole bunch of other issues. It's just the root cause, and it just spans out inflammation, muscle tension, muscle pain, and then it affects the tendons. And anyway, look at his head forward in front of his torso. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the back of his neck, overextension on the front. So he's basically compressing his chest in front of his spine here too much, and then he's compressing the back of his neck. So to go from his chest to his neck and switch which body part is, which side of his body is compensating, that's a lot of pressure right there. His elbows are in a good, decent position. They're above the keyboard slightly. I would definitely slide this chair in a lot. I would definitely lower this monitor a little bit too, because you can see here that his eye level is hitting almost the middle of the monitor. His eye level should be hitting the top of the monitor screen. So that may be another reason why he's over compressing the muscles on the back of his neck, because he's looking up to see his top of his monitor screen. Not natural, not a very good thing when we're sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day. One final thing I want to mention about this, or 2 things. He's not really taking advantage of this back support. That would help if he scooted his chair up, took advantage of the back support. That would allow him to sit back a little bit. It would allow his head to to balance over his torso. And finally, notice the foot here, how it's bent and how it's flat here. I mean, it's off the floor just a little bit, but believe me, this does make a difference. I used to sit with both feet like this, and what that does is it compresses the muscles on the front of the ankle, specifically a tibialis, which runs from the foot up to the knee. And it also overextends the Achilles, the calf muscles, the soleus, everything on the back, the posterior side of his calf is overextended, and this is compressed. So that's going to create a terrible imbalance in the ankle, which is also going to lead to muscle problems and lead to dysfunction of the knee joint. So ankle joint and knee joint, just from not sitting with his feet flat on the floor. this is obviously a decent position to be in for, you know, like squatting, lifting weights, playing sports, getting ready to jump. The problem is when we sit there with it in that position for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, that's when the real damage is done. So here you can see the natural curves in a nice balanced position. The head is resting over the, I wouldn't say resting, but the head is balanced over the torso. It's not in front of the torso like it was in the last photo. He's taking advantage of the back support. I can't see where his monitor here is, but we'll assume that the top of the monitor screen is right there at his eye level. And his elbows are just above the keyboard, which is good. Both feet flat on the floor, so much better off in this photo right here. All right, let's talk about the elbows for a few slides. So notice here how far the keyboard is up on the desk. This is causing a lot of overextension in the back and her upper back and her shoulders, and probably into her traps and into her neck. But yeah, taking the elbows and like pretty much turning the hands directly in front of her, almost in the middle. To use the mouse, she's got to take this hand all the way to the middle of her body. That's causing a lot of issues on the back side of the shoulder and the upper back. Obviously, it would be ideal if she could slide this to the, and she's also leaning forward, so we're not sure what her spine looks like, but she's definitely leaning forward, like that first picture we looked at today. It would be ideal if she could slide this to the edge of the table, but then the problem is she's looking straight down. As opposed to now, she's probably looking down at a 45-degree angle, which isn't good. She definitely don't want to look straight down for long periods of time. So ideally, actually what we would do is we would slide this laptop to about here, get a wireless external keyboard here, wireless mouse here, and then an extended monitor here. I talk about extended monitors in pretty much every single video I make. I got mine for like $150, nothing fancy, plenty big, and then I got a $20 HDMI cable. So it just plugs into any laptop and then plugs right into the monitor, plug the monitor into the wall. There's no installation, nothing like that. So that allows us to still use the laptop as our computer and an extended monitor to help out our posture and our eyesight. It definitely would reduce eye strain as well. Okay, here's another one. Here's pretty much the same picture we just looked at, but it's from a better angle or a different angle. Notice how those hands are way inside in there. Now, if his hands are near the middle of his body, if his hands were back further, they wouldn't have to be so pulled inside to the middle of his body. So this is what creates, if his hands were, you know, out here, that would be better. This is what creates that muscle tension and overextension in the upper back and upper shoulders that I was talking about on the last slide. Okay, here's a good one. Let's talk about elbows. A different topic of the elbows. The elbow, I used to sit just like this. The elbow being below, move that cursor, being below the desk level causes her to engage her bicep just to lift her arm onto the table. It looks like it's comfortable because it's resting. It's really, the bicep is definitely contracted, even though it's a very slight contraction. Over 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, it can cause a lot of muscle tension in that bicep. And of course, the bicep is connected to the shoulder. It's got two tendons going into the shoulder. So I would never feel pain in my bicep, so I didn't know anything was wrong there. But I felt pain in those shoulder tendons that was connected to the biceps. So this is a good way that I caused shoulder pain myself when I was sitting at a computer. I would definitely raise this chair up some so that elbow is level with the table. And as I always talk about, maybe external keyboard would do a lot of good, and also external monitor, so she doesn't have to have that head in front of her torso and her neck angled down like that at that 45-degree angle. And that's just to see the top of her computer screen. She's got to look at more than a 45-degree angle to see the rest of her screen. And I understand laptops, you know, they're super convenient. They allow us to get work done away from home. So to work in this position is not a big deal for 15 or 20 minutes, I don't think, at a time. But if we've got a home office, or if we're in an office, we've got to get an extended monitor if we're going to work off of a laptop. Otherwise, it's just going to cause all kinds of issues. Okay, I think this is the last one about the elbows, or maybe one more. Anyway, her elbows are below the desk here. This is just kind of like the same picture as the one we just looked at. but a side angle, better angle. Elbows are down here. May not look like it, but there's definitely some muscle contraction going on in her biceps, which could easily lead to shoulder pain in the tendons. So I would raise this chair up a little bit. I would try to find a chair with a back. Even though she has great posture right here, you can tell the natural curves on her spine are doing really well. I would still take advantage of some kind of back support. I like how she's got the laptop. If she doesn't have an ability to use an external keyboard right now, I like how she's got the laptop pulled all the way to the side, to the edge of the desk. But she is overextending a bit. So I would definitely raise this chair up so her elbows are above the desk, and that would probably allow her not to contract that bicep quite as much. And then, of course, external monitor down here. She would look straight forward. It would let her lean her head back and relax her butt and balance her head over her torso, which would help out a lot instead of looking down at a 45-degree angle, at least just to see the top of her computer screen. Okay, actually we've got a couple more here about elbows. Elbows are very important because look how it's flared out here to the side. So if she were to not flare her elbow out to the side and kind of keep it in line with the side of her body where that shoulder joint is, this chair would obviously be too low also. So what she's doing instead to overcompensate is flaring her arm out at a 45-degree angle. You can see this one's also flared out at a 45-degree angle. She's using a big bulky keyboard, big bulky laptop to engage her wrists, just to lift her hands onto that keyboard. That's how I used to get carpal tunnel syndrome. It wasn't necessarily from the act of typing. It was from engaging my wrists to lift them up onto a big bulky laptop or a big bulky keyboard. That's why I like the slim, flatter keyboards that we'll talk about here in the next few pictures. But yeah, anyway, keep this elbow flared out to the side like that is going to cause plenty of issues in the neck, in the trap, and maybe even into the shoulder. Yeah, so that's a position that, speaking from experience, I used to sit in and will cause some issues. Okay, here's a great picture I like to talk about with the elbows. This is again, this is the same picture, but same posture, but just at a different angle from the rear angle. 45-degree arm. So just to get her elbow above the desk, which I guess is probably better than having her elbow below the desk because it takes the burden off of that bicep. But at the same time, it's just moving that burden somewhere else, the neck, the trap, the shoulder. It takes muscles to put that arm at a 45-degree angle. Even though it's resting, there's muscles slightly contracted up in here, which will lead to repetitive strain injuries. I like how she's got the external monitor. Could be raised up a little bit, like her eye level is probably about right there, so it's not too bad. But I would just put like a book under it or something. They got the big bulky black keyboards with a big bulky mouse. Man, those things, that's what caused carpal tunnel syndrome for me. Engaging those wrist muscles to lift the hand to put them on those big bulky devices. You can see here she's got the big bulky keyboard. So keep that in mind because we're going to look at that, I think, in the next slide. Yeah, here's a good one. Here's a slim, I don't even know what brand that is, but it's a lot slimmer than these other bulky ones, these big black plastic bulky ones. But I like how slim this is a lot. I would definitely find a way to get this moved to the edge of the desk because she's not worrying about looking at her laptop screen. She's got this big extended monitor. So she doesn't have to worry about leaning forward, but she's probably been leaning forward on her laptop for so long that that's just what she naturally tends to go to. And you can see she's obviously got some lower back pain. When we curve the top of that spine up here, I mentioned earlier, it's called kyphosis. What it does, it just pulls all the muscles from the lower back. Everything is connected, muscles, tendons, spine, bones, everything's connected. So when this gets overcompressed and overextended, this also gets overextended. So this is probably getting overextended more. So that's what hurts her. The chair, I have never, obviously never sat in a chair, so I couldn't say that it's not good, but it doesn't look great. She's not taking advantage of the back support. I would definitely say that. So if she could pull this up, the keyboard up, and slide the desk up, and if there was some way she could take care of this, take advantage of this back support, that would definitely help out. And what that might do is raise her feet off the ground. If it does, get a footstool in order to keep those feet flat, whether it's on the floor or on the footstool. We don't want them hanging off, and we don't want to keep the weight distributed to our toes or our heels for that matter. Okay, here's a good picture. He's got the eye level right, that's for sure. But unfortunately, he's got a ton of compression in the front of his body over here in order to get that eye level right. I would definitely raise his seat up a little bit so he could sit up stronger. He is taking advantage of the back support, so he's doing that right. He's got his elbows angled out at a 45-degree angle that we talked about earlier, so that's going to cause a ton of tension up in here in the trap area and even in the back of the neck. The back of his neck is compressed a great bit. His head is in front of his torso, so that back of that neck is pretty much holding up his entire head, as the front of his neck is just overextended and in front of his torso. They've got the big black bulky keyboards. I would definitely get some slimmer, flatter, lower profile keyboards. So I'd raise this chair, and then when that raises him up, when he sits in back and he can relax, I'd probably raise the monitor up just a little bit and get a flatter keyboard and see if he could, once he sits back, see if he could pull that keyboard to the edge of the desk. Here's a good one. You can tell that she can, it's hard to say, she might have her, if she were to type right there, she may have her elbow above the desk, but it kind of looks like, obviously her arms are at a 45-degree angle. She's taking a break with this left arm, but this right arm's at a 45-degree angle. We've talked about that on a couple different pictures in this video. Trap, neck, shoulder. It takes muscles to laterally lift that arm to the side, and using those muscles, even though it's only slight contraction, for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 2,000 hours a year, is going to cause repetitive strain injuries. Actually, exactly in the spot where she's holding her neck. That's where I used to get the pain when I used to sit with my arms at a 45-degree angle like this. Obviously, she's got the keyboard really far away, so it's at an angle also, which is probably going to cause imbalance on one side of the body. External monitor would do a ton of good here. That way she could pull her keyboard back, maybe get a wireless keyboard. She's already got the wireless mouse. And I'd probably lift the desk up just a little bit, because those arms look like, in order to get them on that desk at a 45-degree angle, her chair's got to be too low. This guy's got a lot going on here, but I do like this photo. He's got the big extended monitor, which is great. He's got the wireless keyboard pulled all the way to the desk, which is really good. Let's just pretend this isn't here, because he's got a lot going on. We'll forget about these laptops. Let's say he's working on one of these laptops. This external keyboard is great. Obviously, there's not an external mouse here. This is just a royalty-free image, but he's got a lot of good stuff going on here. Taking advantage of the back support. Hard to say with his arms on this one, because he's reaching over to a second laptop. But I do like the flat, low-profile keyboard that's at the edge of the desk. The head is a little bit forward, not too bad though. And he's got the external monitor over here. That's an interesting picture. And one last picture I want to talk about, actually two more, but this one I want to talk about because she's obviously looking down at her laptop screen, which isn't ideal, but she's in a seated position on a stool, which is a great break. You can see how this poor kid is just stuck in this position, man. That's rough. And to be stuck in that position in a chair for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Well, I guess they're in school. They're probably not there 40 hours a week. But anyway, her sitting in a stool can break her out of this posture right here. Even though I wouldn't do that for too long. I'd sit in it 15, 20 minutes at a time, maybe 30. But it's great I always say it's best to work in multiple positions throughout the day, and sitting on a stool is one of them. I like to sit in a chair and keep the best posture possible I can there. Then I'll stand for a little bit after I take a quick break, work at a standing workstation, and then when I get a little bit tired from that and I need a break, I will work on a stool just like this. She's got the good upper body, even though she's leaned forward a little bit. You kind of have to do that on a stool. If she did have an extended monitor, she'd be able to pull this back, and she could probably sit up a little bit straighter, which would be good. And the fourth and final position I work in sometimes, I don't have any pictures of that today, but it's a recline position. I like working in recline positions because especially towards the end of the day, if it's taken a lot of physical energy to support my body, whether I'm sitting in a chair, sitting on a stool, it's taken a lot of mental and physical energy to support my body all day long. So if I could find a reclined position on a couch or in a recliner, as long as that lower back is supported, then I will knock out a couple quick tasks for 30 minutes or so in a reclined position. It's a good way for me to, like I said, give my body a break and still focus, take that physical energy and put it into mental energy and really focus and get a task done within like 30 minutes. One more picture I want to look at. This is a very basic, good idea. The eye level, the top of the screen is a little bit high, but it is doable. It's definitely much better than looking down at a laptop, that's for sure. The elbow is just above the keyboard. His elbow is at a 90-degree angle. I like to keep my elbow a little bit more than a 90-degree angle. That's just personal preference and what works best for me. He's taking advantage of the back support, pretty much. He's got his knees at a 90-degree angle, and a very important thing, he's got his feet flat on the floor, which is very, very important, like I mentioned earlier in this video. So thanks for watching, guys. That's all the pictures for today. If you've made it this far, congratulations, because you're taking a big step forward in improving the quality of your life. And that's something to be proud of. If you want to, go to my website and sign up for free email updates, sittingposture.com/newsletter. Like I said, I don't spam people. I just send out one email a week on Fridays. It includes one link to the article that I wrote that week. My articles are always free on my website, and also includes 2 links to the YouTube videos that I created for that week. Download a free computer posture checklist. This is for sitting. Sittingposture.com/checklist. It's a free downloadable PDF that you can print out and post it at your desk for a consistent reminder on how to keep good posture as much as possible. And finally, subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@sittingposture. Don't forget the @ because I don't think it'll get you to my channel if you don't use that. And one last note, all of my content is free, and it always will be. So the more people that see my videos, the more ability I have to make more content. With that said, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button for me or subscribe to my channel, and feel free to forward this video to a friend or family member who sits at a computer full time. That is the ultimate compliment. I really appreciate you guys for helping me spread my message. That's it for today's video, Computer Posture Mistakes and Fixes, Episode 7. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks. Take care.